So let my life be the proof of your love. Let my love look like you and what you're made of.
Okay, 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 2, and we're going to be covering from verse 10 to verse 16. Let me read the passage. If you remember the context, God has been talking through Peter, and as he writes to these believers that are suffering, and he's saying, look, God is able to rescue you, even though it's tough times. And in particular, there's false teachers. Always these attractive teachers that present lies in very attractive, fun ways. And they can mislead people, and they do. They're false teachers. And, of course, they don't need any help, but the world also presents stuff very attractive, right? Commercials that are, oh, you want to see them again? Oh, you want to see them again. Or they're sexually attractive or money-making or what have you. And the world is always enticing. And so we have the false prophets, false teachers, and then the world as well. And so he said, even of Lot, who was in the middle of Sodom and Gomorrah, and we've read in Genesis 19, where God delivers Lot out of unbelievable immorality, and Lot was caught in the middle, and every choice that he could make was bad, even to the point of offering his daughters to the men of the Sodom and Gomorrah to do as they please with them. It's bad. And this text here tells us that God was able to rescue Lot out of that situation, and he did. But then when we are not walking with God, then we go astray as well. But God was able to deliver him, Lot. And so if he was able to deliver Lot from such a situation, then will he deliver us, right? And we need to look, deliver us from what? And in this passage, we're going to see that evil people are everywhere. And so they're very attractive, they're fun, they're bold, they're daring, audacious, and there's a certain attraction about that. But believers are not to be fooled, but continue living in God's way, in spite of what they offer, the attractiveness, right? So let me read the passage, 2 Peter chapter 2, starting in verse 10. And especially those who indulge in flesh, and what he's saying is the last part of verse 9, God is able to keep them under punishment for the day of judgment, and especially he can keep those under punishment for the day of judgment, especially those who indulge in flesh. In the flesh, it's corrupt desires and despise authority, daring, self-will. They do not tremble when they revile angelic majesties. Whereas angels who are greater in might and power do not bring a reviling judgment against them before the Lord. But these, like unreasonable animals, reasoning animals, born as creatures of instinct, to be captured and killed, reviling where they have no knowledge, will in the destruction of those creatures also be destroyed. Suffering wrong as the wages of doing wrong, they count it a pleasure to revel in the daytime. They are stains, blemishes, reveling in their deception as they carouse with you, having eyes full of adultery and that never cease from sin, enticing unstable souls, having a heart trained in greed, accursed children, forsaking the right way. They have gone astray, having followed the way of Balaam, the son of Beor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but he received a rebuke for his own transgression. For a dumb donkey speaking with the voice of a man restrained the madness of the prophet. So here we have it. We've heard about the far left, right? The radical lefts, right? We also have heard of the far right, right? Skinheads and Nazis or whatever, right? Supremacists, and even worse. Well, in this passage, I want to call something that's called the far worldly. They're worldly people all over the place, and sometimes us, we can be pretty worldly, right? But what about the far worldly? And I think that's what this passage addresses. The far worldly, and as we live life here today, these days, as we already know, the world is getting more and more worldly. Doing away with God. I'm just, it's amazing to me. The past 2-3 weeks, I've dealt with several people that they're right flatly, bluntly, they're having sex with their boyfriend or girlfriend. And, no big deal. Oh, my parents hate it, but I don't see what the big deal is. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I have the power of seance. I'm able to talk to my grandfather. And, oh, yeah, I have powers. My grandfather had powers, and, a couple of times in my life I've been able to do seances. And, I read the Bible, knows, and it's like, where are they at? But this is how far our culture is at. And we in the church sometimes are living in a bubble, right? But outside, my, and those of you that work in public and education and what have you, you know what I'm talking about, right? Women making out in the sidewalk. Boys holding hands and making out. Right? Don't say anything, just look away, but no big deal. Wow. Where are we? These far worldly people, they know the ins and outs of the immoral life. They know the ins and outs of the nightlife and the internet and how to gain points and find social status and show more skin to get approval and get power. They know the ins and outs of that. And when people are not being trained in the Word of God, they have no vision, the Hebrew word therefore, they have no instruction in Torah, in the Bible, then they go astray, there's chaos, and they don't even know it, and so forth. And we have people that are very naive or simple-minded or plain ignorant of the Bible anymore, right? And it's amazing, amazing, amazing to me. So here's an example. Turn to Proverbs chapter 7. Proverbs 7. Proverbs 7, starting in verse 6. Proverbs 7, starting in verse 6. For at the window of my house I looked out through my lattice, and I saw among the naive, not necessarily stupid, just untrained, the simple-minded, the naive, discern among the youth a young man lacking sense. Passing through the street near her corner, and he takes the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the middle of the night, and in the darkness. And behold, all of a sudden, whoop, behold, a woman comes to meet him, dressed as a harlot, meaning high-quality clothes, tight, a lot of colors, showing skin, cunning of heart. Cunning of heart. She is boisterous and rebellious. Her feet do not remain at home. She is now in the streets, she is now in the squares, and lurks by every corner. She seizes him and kisses him. And with a brazen face, She says to him, I was due to offer peace offerings. Oh, yeah, I'm religious. Yep. Today I have paid my vows. Man. Therefore, I have come out to meet you, to seek your presence earnestly, you hunk of a man. And I have found you. I'm offering you a relational gift. I'm so good. I have spread my couch with coverings, with colored linens of Egypt. I have sprinkled my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us drink and our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with caresses. For the man, oh yeah, by the way, I'm married, no problem. For the man is not at home. He has gone a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him. At full moon, he will come home. With her many persuasions, she entices him. With her flattering lips, she seduces him. Suddenly, I don't know what happened to me. Suddenly, he follows her as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as one in fetters to the discipline of fools, until an arrow pierces through his liver, as a bird hastens to the snare. So he does not know that it will cost him his life. Very attractive, boisterous, rebellious, free spirit, fun. She's religious. Good. Check. She paid her vows. And she's got some money too. Make you feel good. She's got all the ointments and perfumes and clothing. She's got it all figured out. You don't have to worry about anything. We'll even give you money back if you buy in. I mean, isn't that what we're being offered? No interest, 6 months, a year. Psh. You see, it doesn't have to be a woman. The world is amazing, amazing, and offering us. And we're like ox being led to the slaughter. All right, where's the guillotine? And we don't even know it, right? We don't even know it. It's right there in the text. Isn't it something that the Bible is just, boom, right there? You don't have to know Hebrew. It's right there. Right? It's amazing. Amazing. And the enticements are there. Proverbs 13. Proverbs 13, verse 20. Proverbs 13, verse 20. He who walks with the wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. No way around it. You're going to suffer harm. What are fools? Fools are those who refuse the things of God. They might be good people, but they refuse the things of God. Fools. You're going to suffer harm. That's the word of God. So we have to start with ourselves. Who are we keeping as company? Are you observing life things? Or are we just kind of following along? Let me make a buck. Let me just make a living. Let me just, as long as I have my good car and my everything, just let me make a living. And we don't see the spiritual disaster in our own souls or the souls of those around us because they don't want the things of God. They got plenty of money to live and to be secure, but they don't want the things of God. Are you paying attention to what people say? How they say it? Are you observing people's lifestyle and actual behavior? Because you see, that's very important. It's very important. Do they ever talk about God? Do they ever bring up the things about God? Well, maybe a different question. Do you ever talk about God to them? Do you ever bring God into the conversation? Because you see, we never stand still. We never stand still. We are either going towards the light or we're going towards the darkness. We either serve the master of all the universe or we serve the master of darkness. One of the two. And at any one given point, we're going one way or another. That's the reality. You see? And we need to ask that question. If we think we can ride the fence and no, doesn't work like that. Satan loves that, by the way. To make us think that we can be okay, just good fellas, good Christians, don't get drunk, don't commit adultery, don't steal, you'll be fine. He loves that. There's a battle going on, and it's intense, and it's getting more and more intense. And maybe you've by now gotten sick of me saying our young people are the targets. And we need to be watchful. We need to be loving. But what this passage here in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 10 through 16, evil people can be attractive and fun. But believers are not to be fooled, but live God's way. So we first of all find the inside of far worldly people. And if you could keep that in mind, far worldly people. Not the far left or the far right, no, the far worldly people. And so God, in verse 9, Peter said, God is able to punish the ungodly, the unrighteous, especially those, and it's very interesting here, especially those who indulge in the flesh. The meaning there is they go after strange sexual interactions. And the likelihood is especially talking about homosexuals. Why do I say that? Because of the context. What has he been talking about? Sodom and Gomorrah, verse 6. No? And the words there are for the sexual immorality, going after a strange flesh. And so in corrupt desires. And of course, the flesh is being offered everywhere, 24/7, free. Right? And our people are the target. I mean, older people too, but older people, they're targeted for the money. Right? The young people, they want to get hooked. They hook them. Right? And so, but this, especially though, this is what God absolutely is going to punish. Especially those who go after, indulge in the flesh, in corrupt desires. Probably homosexuality. And then he talks a little bit more of the internal being, the internal status, or what they're like on the inside. And again, this is not me, guys. It's right there in the text. Because look at what it says next. Despise authority. These people that go after strange flesh or homosexuality or homosexuals, they despise authority. The Bible? No, that's just man-made. There's moral norms, those just are, society that built them, Everything's relative. What's good for you, that's fine, but now I have something different, relativism. No absolute truth. Because that way I have no authority over me. You see? And we have that in the public schools now, right, with students. Teachers are going crazy. Right? Despise authority. They're daring. They're very daring. And by the way, the despising of authority, any ruling power, they just despise. Any ruling power. They look down at them. And by daring, it means they are arrogant. They dare. They're arrogant. They might seem soft and this and that, but no, they're going to get their way. They despise authority. Daring. Self-willed. They're stubborn as all get out. And you know, in the Bible, stubbornness leaves the door open for demons. Stubbornness is as divination, the Bible says. There's a few things that open the door to demons and leave it open. Unresolved anger leaves the door open. Immorality leaves the door open. Stubbornness leaves the door open. All kinds of stuff leaves the door open for demons to come in. But these people are despise authority. They're arrogant. They're self-willed, stubborn as all get out. They do not tremble when they revile angelic majesties. There are several interpretations there. The one I believe he's talking about is like, these individuals are so arrogant that they will even revile demons. I can take care of Satan. Satan is nobody for me. Come on, bring it on, Satan. Wow. That's how far their arrogance goes. Again, remember, these are far worldly people. At some level, all of us are worldly. But we're talking about the far worldly individuals. They don't care. Spiritual stuff? Oh, yeah, demons, I can take care of them. I know, man, I know the ins and outs. I already seen them at work. I've seen demons. That's the way they are. This is their internal being, their attitudes, right? That's the inside of them. But whereas angels, who are greater in might and power than any mere human being, or the demons, they do not. Whereas angels who are greater in might and power do not bring a reviling judgment against them before God. Not even the most powerful angels of God deal with demons and Satan that way. They defer to God. Hey, God's going to take care of them. Right? That's what he's saying. But these people, these far worldly people, they're arrogant. And there's something attractive about that to us humans. Man, look at that guy. He's his own man. He can do whatever he wants. Wow, I wish I had that power. I wish I could do that. These people are that way. Unbelievable. They do not fear the demonic forces, the spiritual beings. In fact, they blaspheme against them. Wow, it's amazing. And there's this incredible blindness to this far worldly people. You know, there's an incredible blindness, and at the same time, listen to this, there's an incredible insightfulness about them. It's just crazy. There's a certain blindness, a spiritual in relation to God and morality, in terms of judgment from God, but they're also very worldly, wise. And we're going to see this here. And so if we're not careful, we can be misled. We can be sidetracked or at least attracted to them and stay there. All right, so here we go. Here's the blindness. Verse 12 through 14. But these, like unreasonable animals, born as creatures of instinct. There's no reason about the eternal. Nothing reasonable about God seeing everything and being able to judge or discipline. No. They're just instinct. Just right now. I've used the illustration of my bull and cows. All they do is eat. Eat all day long. They want nothing else, just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. They don't care about tomorrow. They don't even have a sense of tomorrow, right? They just have a sense of now. And I have to sweep them from one side of the field to the other because they got to let the grass grow, right? And this dumb bull, he sees green grass over there, and there's a lot of green grass over here. But it just wants that grass over there. Never mind tomorrow. He just leans over, breaks the fence. I'm going, he got a whole, a ton bale over here next to you, bull. No, just instinct. And that's how many people live, by mere instinct. No reasoning about tomorrow and the consequences, and that the Lord is righteous and he will not be fooled. He will deal with you. Oh, no. Just right now. What feels good, what I'm going to get money, and, give my flesh pleasure. These are like unreasonable animals, born as creatures of instinct to be captured and killed. Why do I give my bull food? So he gets fattened up, so he'll weigh more at the stockyard, led to the slaughter. I'm not making it up. It's right there, to be captured and killed. Wow. And many human beings live that way. You see? And they can be very attractive. They have all the goods. They have the latest. They have connections. Oh, my goodness. Reviling where they have no knowledge. They're experts, right? I remember this very successful friend of mine, a lot of money. He said, man, Ruben, if I was a pastor, I could grow a church really quick. Oh, yeah, I know exactly what to do. Okay. It was one of those times that I was bleeding all over the place, spiritually, emotionally. I was shredded. Very successful man, financially. Very respected in the community. Thought he could just grow the church just like that. Now, this was many, many years ago. Now, it's a very different story. He still has a lot of money, by the way. A lot of money. Very different story. They have reviling where they have no knowledge. Willing the destruction of those creatures also be destroyed. In other words, just like the beasts, they're eating and eating and eating only to be led to the slaughterhouse. Same thing with them. Believers, be wise. Children of God, be wise. These people are boisterous, arrogant, despise authority. They do their own thing. Nobody's going to tell them what to do. They've got money to buy anything, buy off anyone if necessary. They know the system. They know how to work it. Verse 13. Suffering wrong is their wages of doing wrong, but they have goes over their head. Why? Because they can buy off anything. This goes bad. That's just a couple $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. I'll make over here, and see, boom. Or I can go buy the best whiskey. I always can have, willing women, men that I can use. I can buy them off. I feel good tomorrow. You see? It's no big deal, because now it says, they count it a pleasure to revel in the daytime. Destruction? What destruction? No big deal. They are stains and blemishes. The reality is people don't want them around. They think people want them around because they can buy off and make parties and all this. But in reality, people are like, nah, I want to be around that person because they've got money and they can make parties. but I really hate to be around them. Their stains and blemishes, reveling in their deception. They're real good at deceiving, especially themselves. They're real good at deceiving and reveling in that deception. You can deceive others real good too. As they carouse with you. The word there for carouse? As they feast with you. In other words, they can throw pachangas like you wouldn't believe. They can throw parties after party after party and have the best food, have the best music, have the best everything, and have a bunch of friends over. And man, having a good time. That's right. Is anything wrong with having a party? Well, of course not. Anything wrong with feasting? No, of course not. But when there's immorality, amen, when there's ungodliness, that's what Peter is addressing. You see? As they feast with you, they revel in their deceptions. Wow. You ever been to parties like that? You know of some people like that? Maybe at one point you and I were like that. I hope that we're not there today. Right? But this is what Peter's saying. And it can get very, very hard when life has all the difficulties and strains and then on top of that, all the temptations that are on you, and you see all the ungodliness and people getting away with it. Is, one of the reasons why I stopped listening to the news. Because they keep telling me, and this, and here's, he got all this evidence, and what happened to them? Zip. Nada. So why should I listen? Just to hear all the bad stuff and no justice, nothing happens. We have to balance that out, right? We still have to stay informed at some level. But they revel in their deception. Any deception today? The politics of today? Oh my, don't get me started. It is awful. The lying, flat out lying. Eugene Peterson translates one of the passages, 2 Timothy. He says, these professional liars have lied so well for so long, they have lost their capacity for truth. Like, wow. And I think that's what we have these days. Reveling in their deceptions as they feast with you. And now that's their self-deception. They think they're going to get away with it. They think they can, they're self-deceived in that, God, God, right. Nothing's going to happen to me. I got this. Very blind to spiritual realities and God's ability to judge, right? But then they're very insightful in other ways. Look at the insight in verse 14. Having eyes full of adultery, and that never cease from sin. Having eyes full of adultery. You know what that means? It's like when we say, that person, man, they can tell good quality music like unbelievable. They have an ear for music. This person, oh my goodness, they can tell art. This really, really ability to have art and know exactly what's good and what's not. They have an eye for art, for beauty. Some people have the eye for adultery, meaning they know who is into immorality. They can sense blood of immorality. They know exactly who likes the jokes and who wants to go there. They're very insightful. They know the ins and outs of all the immorality. That's what it's saying. And they know how to entice. They know what words to use. Amazing. Eyes full of adultery, and that never cease from sin. enticing unstable souls. Unstable souls. Having a heart trained in greed. Can you imagine? A heart trained in greed? They know exactly how to get that from you, and that, and money, and a smile, and a laugh, and a commitment they shouldn't make, and an endorsement of whatever they want to endorse. Their joke, their lifestyle. They know how to do it. Trained in greed because they're going to get more and get more and get more. Enticing unstable souls. You know of any unstable souls in your life? I know tons of them. Tons of them. And if we really are honest with our relatives, our friends, our neighbors, you see the instability all over the place. All over the place. So many people are up to their neck, no, right up to their nostrils in debt. Any little thing that they work out, they're like, we're going to sink. Unstable. Socially, people are so unstable. They're afraid of so many people. They're afraid all everywhere. I don't want to go out because I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to say the wrong thing. There's a wrong message. Somebody's going to take advantage of me. And on and on. There's fear. Unstable. And there's all kinds of instability. And these people know exactly how to work the unstable people. They're very insightful. Very insightful. Perhaps some of you have done the same thing. My phone rings, and if I don't recognize the number, I don't answer it. Right? Because scam likely. Somebody's trying to sell you something. Right? And depending who you are, they already know. Right? Let's see. This guy is mid-60s, balding, probably poor self-image. What can we sell him to make him feel good? Oh yeah, the pill. Oh yeah, this car. Oh yeah, this. And my gosh. And they have no shame at all. No shame. They target these people. They target everyone, depending on their age, everything. They know, right? The algorithms. Amazing. Enticing unstable people. So, that's what Peter's saying. And living in that culture, right? It's amazing. I remember talking to a guy and works in one of the towns here close by. Incredibly knowledgeable about his job. And he told me once that when he was working with the machinery that he works with, it's as though he could worship because he could run those machines so good. He knew exactly what needed to be done. When they were going to take this machine and use it, he knew exactly, make lots and lots of money. If it would break, he could know exactly. This guy, he literally told me that he almost could worship. Oh. And as we continued talking, he told me this guy was 50, a little over 50 years old, having sex with a 23-year-old. And he was having a great time, he says. Church? Well, maybe someday. Okay. Yeah. That's what we have. If I have knowledge, then God's going to bless me. The flesh is just, it's just, it's evil anyway. Let me just use it, but, the old Gnosticism, right? The knowledge and spirituality, those are good. The flesh is just fallen, is corrupt anyway, so just do whatever you want. Wow. And we still have that. People think that way. They think that the physical elements of life have nothing to do with spirituality. That's a lie from hell. But these people know exactly what to do, what to say. And that's what Peter's saying to the believers. Wake up! Be alert! Because this is the reality. And you can get caught up in this. And what happens? He says, verse 15, forsaking the right way, right? Forsaking the way of the Lord, the right way, they have gone astray, having followed the way of Balaam, the son of Beor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. Wow. Balaam was a prophet, and he could talk to God, and God talked with him. A real prophet. But he loved mullah. He loved money. And he went on along and got into frustration. Okay, go. And God was mad at him. So literally, God had to stop him with the donkey. The King James said he used a dumb ass to humiliate the prophet. That's the King James. That's what the King James says. Now imagine a prophet being humiliated like that. A prophet, a dumb animal, having to teach the prophet. Point. You follow this way of the world, you're going to be utterly humiliated. Because the motivation is the wages of unrighteousness. The wages of unrighteousness. It's very attractive. Money, right? Or things, or sexual favors, or attractions, and being built up by a woman, a man, using them. I've talked to some women, it's like, they're married, why do you flirt? If you're married, why do you flirt? Because it makes me feel like a woman. I will never go to bed with anybody, but I flirt because it makes me feel like a woman. It makes me feel powerful that I still have it. And men do the same thing. Right? Oh, I'm committed to my wife. I'm committed to Christianity, but I flirt. Why? Because I feel terrible about myself, and this is the way I'm going to feel better about myself. The way of the far worldly. I'm going to get something. The wages of unrighteousness. The wages of unrighteousness are powerful ways to make ourselves feel better and powerful. Verse 16, but he received a rebuke for his own transgressions, for the dumb donkey, speaking with the voice of a man, restrained the madness, the foolishness, the stupidity of the prophet. Of the prophet who talked directly to God. What about you and me? We need a lot of humility, no? To say, God help me. God help me. If a prophet could be deceived by the wages of unrighteousness, you and me? Yeah. Yep. So these far worldly people have a lot of blindness, self-deception, but also great insight. Great insight into how the world works, the ins and outs of immorality, the ins and outs of money and so forth. Cursed children, he says, in verse 14. Cursed. Doomed. It'll never work. They're going to end up in destruction. That's what it means. They leave the right way. They might have been walking with the Lord, but they leave the right way. Or they might have been just kind of nominal Christians, but they never commit. Eventually go astray. The utter humiliation of the prophet. How do we apply this? Well, we must see the human spiritual condition honestly and clearly. And we need to look at ourselves, no matter how long we've walked with God, no matter how much knowledge of the Bible we have. I tremble when the scriptures say, submit to your elders, your spiritual leaders. And then it says, as to those who will give an account. Yeah, I don't like that. But I have to remember, I will have to give an account. We must see our human condition, the spiritual condition, honestly, ourselves and other people. If we are going to stay steady in our Christian life, if we have these fantasy eyes, if we have these, just fairy tale stories of ourselves or somebody else, no. As Christians, we will encounter these individuals even among Christians. Right? That's what the text says. As they feast with you. They claim to be Christian teachers. No, they're false teachers. We must not be spiritually, socially asleep. I have to be realistic. So that's the first application. Second application, turn to 1 Corinthians 5. 1 Corinthians 5, and this is a very difficult passage to apply. It's easy to understand, but a lot of scriptures is that way, right? Oh, yeah, get the point. Live it out. No, mañana. This passage is one of those. It's very hard. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, starting in verse 9. I wrote to you in my letter, this is Paul talking to the Corinthians, not to associate with immoral people. I did not mean with the immoral people of this world, or with the covetous and swindlers, or with idolaters, for then you would have to go out of this world. That's all there is. I'm not talking about that. You have to be out of this world. You don't want to anybody like that. Verse 11. But actually, I wrote to you not to associate with any so-called brother if he should be an immoral person, or covetous, or idolater, or reviler, or drunkard, or swindler, not even to eat with such a one. Whoa. For as I do with judging outsiders. Outsiders, hey man, that's all that's out there. But with so-called believers, don't even associate with them. My. It's tough scripture right there, right? But it's there. I'm not making it up. It's right there in the text. Read it and reread it. Stay away from such individuals if they call themselves believers, unless you absolutely need to talk with them. It's hard. It's very hard. But what's the power behind that? The power behind that is relationship. If those people value your relationship, they're going to say, I don't want to lose this relationship. I want to do what will keep this relationship, right? And so, what's up? Well, you're acting this way that's ungodly, that's ruining yourself and, destroying your own soul and the souls of those around you. You need to stop. Oh, no, but you don't understand. I got to do this. Oh, okay. So God has no power to change you. Jesus Christ died for nothing. He really has no power. You have to stay the same. Your choice. But the bottom line is, you and I are not going to have much of a relationship. Be cordial, be kind to you, but sorry. Wow. That's the second application. Third application. Because living in such times, it can be very difficult, right? Because, my goodness, there's so many far worldly people. Sometimes even within Christians. It can get pretty lonely. Turn back to 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. What's the context here? Look at this. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 8. For by what he saw and heard, that righteous man, talking about Lot, that righteous man, while living among them, Sodom and Gomorrah, felt his righteous soul tormented day after day with their lawless deeds. Our own souls can be very discouraged as we look around and see all the lawlessness and ungodliness and immorality. We can be very discouraged, right? And Peter's saying his soul was tormented day after day. If he was able to rescue him, then verse 9, then the Lord knows how to rescue, to deliver from severe circumstances is the point. To deliver the godly from the temptations and to keep the unrighteous under punishment for the day of judgment. So the application is, as difficult as it may be, stay walking with God and trust that He is able to deliver us and bring justice. Stay walking with God. Stay walking godly, no matter how difficult it gets. To say, Lord, everybody around me is doing what's wrong. They're unethical, doing business deals that are immoral, ungodly, corrupt. All my fellow students, they talk vile. And my neighbors want nothing to do with God. The Lord is able to deliver you. He's going to bring justice. You keep walking with God, no matter what. And seek those who also want to walk with God. Amen. Right? And we're going to see this. This is, on Sunday mornings, most of you know, I'm doing Amos. And Amos is hard too. Jeez, man. But it comes to the point that it's God deals with the rough of the time, the roughness of the times. And I especially for your young people, it's tough, man. It's tough. At many different levels, it's tough for them.
So let my life be the proof